Titled The Mysterious Case of the Vanishing Artifacts. On a foggy morning in London, the famous detective Sherlock Holmes was awakened by an urgent knock on his door. Dr. John Watson, his loyal friend and partner, rushed into the room with a sense of urgency. "Sherlock, you won't believe what has happened," exclaimed Watson, his face filled with astonishment. Holmes raised an eyebrow and replied, "Well, Watson, I won't know unless you tell me. What has transpired?" Watson took a deep breath and explained, "Last night, the British Museum was robbed, and several valuable artifacts have vanished without a trace. The curator, Mr. Archibald, has requested your immediate assistance in solving this mysterious case." Holmes, ever the man of action, wasted no time. He quickly dressed and made his way to the British Museum, with Watson at his side. The scene that met their eyes was one of chaos and dismay. Glass display cases had been shattered, and priceless relics had vanished, leaving only empty spaces and the shattered remnants of the past. Mr. Archibald, the museum's curator, was in a state of distress. "Mr. Holmes," he implored, "these artifacts are not only valuable but also of immeasurable historical significance. We must recover them before they disappear into the black market or worse." Holmes nodded solemnly and requested a list of the stolen artifacts. As he studied the inventory, he began to notice a pattern. The stolen items were diverse, spanning different cultures and time periods. There were ancient Egyptian relics, Greek sculptures, Chinese porcelain, and rare manuscripts. The thief's eclectic taste intrigued Holmes. The detective then turned his attention to the crime scene. He examined the shattered display cases and the broken glass fragments with a magnifying glass. As he observed the scattered debris, he noticed an unusual substance on the shards of glass. It was a fine, powdery residue with a faint golden hue. Holmes asked Mr. Archibald about any recent visitors to the museum, particularly those with unusual requests or inquiries. Mr. Archibald mentioned a visitor who had been particularly interested in a specific Egyptian artifact known as the Eye of Horus. The visitor had requested detailed information about the artifact and its historical significance. Holmes, deducing that the thief might have had a specific target in mind, decided to investigate further. He and Watson visited the location of the Eye of Horus display. As they examined the scene, Holmes noticed faint footprints, barely visible but distinct. The prints seemed to lead toward the museum's back entrance. Following the trail of the mysterious footprints, Holmes and Watson arrived at the back entrance of the museum. It was here that Holmes made a crucial discovery. He found a small vial containing the same golden residue found on the shattered glass. It was a clue that suggested the thief had left behind something essential. With this discovery in hand, Holmes returned to his Baker Street residence, determined to unravel the mystery of the missing artifacts. He began conducting research on the golden residue, seeking any references or substances that matched its properties. After hours of intensive research, Holmes discovered that the residue was consistent with a rare mineral known as auramite. Auramite had unique properties that made it ideal for preserving and protecting valuable artifacts. It was often used in the restoration and conservation of priceless relics. Holmes reasoned that the thief must have had a deep knowledge of the museum's security systems and a clear understanding of the properties of auramite. This knowledge allowed the thief to bypass security measures and disable alarms during the heist. The detective decided to revisit the scene of the crime and conduct a thorough examination of the shattered glass display cases. As he scrutinized the pieces, Holmes discovered that the auramite coating on some artifacts was intact, while on others, it was partially removed. It became clear that the thief had taken only those artifacts with compromised auramite protection. Holmes believed that the thief had intentionally targeted artifacts with partially deteriorated auramite, which would fetch a higher price on the black market due to their advanced age and rarity. This insight led him to the conclusion that the thief had an accomplice within the museum who provided information about the condition of the artifacts. Holmes and Watson returned to the museum to confront Mr. Archibald about the possibility of an inside accomplice. The curator was shocked by the accusation but agreed to cooperate fully with the investigation. He revealed that a young conservationist named Eliza, who had access to the museum's restoration laboratory, had been responsible for the care of the artifacts. Upon further questioning, Holmes discovered that Eliza had been acting strangely in the weeks leading up to the theft. She had made unusual inquiries about the value of certain artifacts, and her behavior had grown increasingly erratic. Holmes suspected that Eliza might have fallen under the influence of a criminal syndicate looking to exploit her position. Holmes and Watson decided to pay a visit to Eliza's residence. There, they found her in a state of distress. She confessed to being coerced into providing information about the artifacts and assisting in the theft. The criminal syndicate had threatened her family's safety if she did not comply. With Eliza's assistance, Holmes devised a plan to apprehend the culprits. He arranged for a meeting with the criminals, posing as a prospective buyer of the stolen artifacts. The meeting took place in a dimly lit, underground chamber. As Holmes and Watson entered the chamber, they came face to face with the leader of the criminal syndicate, a cunning and ruthless individual named Ivan Voronov. He had been the mastermind behind the theft, exploiting Eliza's vulnerability and knowledge of the museum. Voronov, realizing he had been outsmarted by Holmes, attempted to escape, but the detective was quick to apprehend him. The stolen artifacts were recovered, and the criminal syndicate was dismantled. The case of the vanishing artifacts had been a complex puzzle, but with his brilliant deductions and unwavering determination, Sherlock Holmes had successfully solved it. The stolen treasures were returned to the British Museum, and justice was served. As Holmes and Watson returned to their Baker Street residence, the city of London was once again abuzz with tales of their remarkable detective work. The great detective had proven that no mystery was too enigmatic for his brilliant mind and astute observations. Sherlock Holmes, the master of deduction, continued to be the guardian of London's treasures and unraveler of perplexing mysteries, ensuring that the city remained a place of order and justice. His reputation as a brilliant detective remained unchallenged, and his legacy of solving enigmatic puzzles endures to this day.